Welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So in this episode, I'm discussing the 2020 period mystery adventure Enola Holmes, as directed by Harry Bradbeer and as based on the Nancy Springer novel The Case of the Missing Marquis, and Enola Holmes Mystery, if I've said that right. The first novel in her Enola Holmes mystery series. Set in Victorian England, we follow the adventures of one Enola Holmes, as played by Millie Bobby Brown, who is indeed the younger sister of a great crime-solving super sleuth, Sherlock Holmes, as played by Henry Cavill, and the super-starched and arrogant government official, Mycroft Holmes, as played by Sam Claflin. Having been brought up almost exclusively by her mother, Eudora, as played by Helen Bonham Carter. What is it with everybody having three names? It's kind of bouncing around. After being taught somewhat of an alternative education for a young lady of the time, martial arts, science, deduction, I was going to say adventure, but deduction, literature, Enola awakes on the morning of her 16th birthday to find her mother missing, and rather than being sent to the stern Miss Harrison's finishing school for girls at Mycroft's bequest, she sets out to embark on her own adventure of discovery in order to unravel the mystery of her mother's disappearance. One for always kind of going her own way, Enola follows her mother's trail to London, and against the backdrop of unrest and reform kind of brewing within the country, she inadvertently gets embroiled in another case all her own, which leads to some quite unexpected ramifications for herself, Sherlock, and perhaps the entire country. Indeed, the game is afoot. So, admittedly, we did actually try and watch this some time ago when it first came out, but unfortunately, it wasn't my wife's cup of tea. Apparently she's not keen on Millie Bobby Brown, and the way this film is narrated kind of puts her front and centre from the very start. So, we only caught the first 5 minutes or so, kind of first time around. But it still certainly seemed like something I would enjoy, and so, undiscouraged, I was determined to kind of take it out for a bit of a spin. And do I have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed the adventure that befell in the end. Yeah, I mean, even I had to agree that the narrative style of the movie is both off-putting and quirky at the same time. And yes, it's probably going to have a lot to do with whether or not you can actually tolerate Brown. I can't argue with my wife on that point. But personally, for as annoying as it kind of was at times, the fact that Brown kind of broke that fourth wall almost every opportunity that she actually got, I did actually kind of feel it was more of a personal touch, a lot more inclusive, and kind of made the audience feel as part of the act, kind of in on the mystery itself. Like we had a kind of personal tour, an insight into Enola's life and kind of method of thinking. And I really did enjoy the kind of more sarcastic tones that it provided. It's definitely, this kind of light and breezy affair, full of energy and life. And it manages to kind of keep this energy and vivacity kind of throughout in a real kind of charming and endearing effort, as we kind of unravel the mystery laid out before us. Brown really feels like she's relishing this role, and the commitment and style that she actually brings, and the intensity at which she kind of brings the character to life, is absolutely infectious. She offers a brilliantly bright kind of lumosity against the more grey and kind of starkly contrasted backdrop of London, and, the stiff collar characters of Sherlock and Mycroft, who themselves are absolutely brilliantly played in their own right. Henry Cavill as Sherlock is actually pretty perfect for the character in his early career. Dashing and compassionate, but still a little unsure of his own path, squarely under Mycroft's shadow and thumb, kind of wanting to break free, but needing that bit of a push. And that's saying something, as I didn't think anybody could kind of do anything for the character following Benedict Cumberbatch's portrayal. But Cavill's performance works for the period in which this is set, and for the connection that he actually builds with Enola. A bit of light-hearted sibling rivalry, and amongst the Sherlocks that's going to kind of yield in some pretty interesting results. It is, we have a good balance between Enola and Sherlock. It's Enola's movie through and through. We know this. But we have kind of a decent sprinkling of Cavill's Sherlock to keep the more traditionally kind of rooted investigative angle. That's what I'm looking for. included as part of the framework, which adds a great kind of counterbalance to Enola's more skittish investigative style. And then there is Sam Claflin's Mycroft, absolutely despicable, a total product of his time, and easily could have been the villain of the piece. Instead, we opt for an absolute ass, who has little to no interest in Enola, just his image and standing in society. How Enola's actions look badly on him, totally egotistical and beyond any form of reasoning. A character that's as compelling to watch as easily as he is to kind of despise. But a brilliant one, The style and delivery of the movie reminded me very much of an Enid Blyton adventure. Something akin to like the famous Five or the Secret Seven. More in style than in its progressive nature, which would perhaps, be at odds with Blyton's work, but nonetheless, it has a kind of a quaint English themes, and daring kind of sense of mystery many of these stories provided. It's a cute movie, quite sweet in its execution, and there's a lot of kind of little touches that give it a quirky flavour. Traditional Sherlock moments mixed with more fly-on-the-wall take. Some of the narrative animations are quite amusing, and as I've said, the movie has a kind of personal touch that can be quite endearing if you let it in. I did find that sometimes we weren't really given enough time to kind of have a go at solving some of the puzzles for ourselves. Now, I know this wasn't actually supposed to be take a break, but it's actually a nice touch when the movie keeps you guessing. And to be honest, I never really felt bothered or even willed to even try, given it was spoon-fed to us so very much. And then it did become a bit irritating when we were told exactly what was happening, even though we already just witnessed that scene for ourselves. Some of the best moments that could have been so much more if we hadn't been dashed straight into the next element of the mystery. It didn't let you savour the moment, if you know what I mean. It robs itself of the mystery as it goes along. And by the end, I did find that it felt like somewhat of an anticlimax. It didn't quite square off all of its loose ends, and that's not quite like a Sherlock mystery, But yet I still felt satisfied. Which was also a bit of an odd contradiction. It certainly put a smile on my face. It certainly had more of a feel-good vibe throughout than I'd kind of realised. For me, personally, I found that the mystery itself, I wasn't all that concerned about, which is unusual and kind of probably not what the film intended, but more so I enjoyed the journey, its sense of adventure and its kind of preppy charisma so much more. Its sense of assuredness, self-awareness and lively storytelling are what really kind of hooked me in, if I'm honest. I also quite enjoyed its quirky, often upbeat and energetic, frolicking orchestral score, as penned by Daniel Pemberton, which more than kind of suited Enola's kind of phlegmatic and naive nature. Very playful with its themes and arrangements and distinctly charismatic, with an air of some familiar Sherlock notes. Overall, admittedly, this movie could be quite irritating to some given its narrative style, but I quite enjoyed its more intimate and up-close approach. It kind of felt like we were kind of included on some big secret nobody else knew. I wouldn't suggest it has the most carefully constructed mystery, the most intricate or indeed one I'd ever kind of really found myself caring about all that much, but it has a sweet approach, a modern outlook with a classic Victorian edge, resulting in what kind of ended up being quite the exhilarating, fun and quirky adventure for what it really was, and by the end, it may not close out all of the mysteries it sets out, but it does feel like we've been put in a good game of Scrabble. So, that brings me to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please do hit that subscribe button for my movie reviews, trailer reactions and other movie-related content. Absolutely loved having you at SciFirst MovieTalk and definitely love to have you back. Most of all, just thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.